Brilliance Audio presents Now It's Time to Say Goodbye by Dale Peck. Performed by Andrew Iden, Angelo Di Loretto, Adenrele Ojo, Carly Robbins, J.D. Jackson, Joyce Bean, Patrick Lawler, and Ron Butler.
Where am I? Colin had waited to speak until we were seated around the circular table centered in Wade Painter's barren dining room, and I could tell from the look on his face that he'd been saving his question for just this moment. Colin has a thing about opening lines. A scene is made or unmade in its first sentence, he once said to me, which is fine as far as it goes, but Colin tends to forget that an opening line doesn't constitute the entirety of a scene. Something has to come after. Something has to happen next. Across the table from Colin, Webby looked confused. "Excuse me?"
"You're in the dining room?" Wade said. "It's where we usually take our meals."
Colin, realizing his line had flopped, tried to laugh it off. He took a drink of wine and said, "Forgive me." Colin never says I'm sorry. He always says forgive me. He always makes his mistake your responsibility. "My question was too vague," he said. "What I meant to do was ask about Galatia," Wade said. "Glacia," Devine said, putting so much spin on the word it sounded like glacier. "Galatia," Wade said again, his tone uninsistent yet inexorable, like meltwater. "Perhaps we could answer your question better if we knew where your interest lay." "In Galatia," Wade finished for him. "He needs something to write about," I said then, but Colin spoke over me. "I'm thinking," he said, "of moving here." "He's blocked," I said. "He's been blocked for 20 years. He thinks he'll find something to write about here." There was a brief silence, and then Wade said, "But surely Galatia offers nothing in the way of a subject for a writer such as yourself?" "I don't know what it offers," Colin said. "But really, moving here, if indeed we did move here, would have nothing to do with writing." "Then why?" Webby said, her voice full of incredulity. "New York," Colin said. He pursed his lips. "New York isn't exactly the place it used to be." "What he means is everyone we know is dead." Devine dropped his fork then. It clattered to the floor, and after fixing me with an expression of absolute terror on his face, he disappeared beneath the table. "And Yona?" Wade said. There was the slightest tremor in his voice, and I remembered hearing that a long, long time ago, Yona and Wade were said to have had something more than a professional relationship. "How is Yona?" "I think Yona is doing well," Colin said carefully. "As well as can be expected." He shrugged. "We've been away so much this year." I noticed then that my wine glass was empty, and I reached for the bottle. It wobbled clumsily in my right hand, and I had to concentrate so that I wouldn't spill the purple liquid on Wade's white tablecloth. "He can't be doing that bad," I said when I finished pouring. "He sent us here, didn't he?" I was looking at Webby as I spoke, and she brought one of her hands to her mouth. "I don't understand." "Yona can be a bit intolerant," Wade said quietly. "Yona is a racist pig," I said, "and I bet he's laughing his ass off right now. What's left of it anyway." "Justin," Colin said quietly. "Yona's a little skinny right now. Justin." "Don't tell me to shut up, Colin," I said, and even as I spoke, I remembered something Yona had said when he sent us here, something whose meaning had escaped me at the time. "Jesus Christ," I said. "He called the place Schwarzville." "I didn't tell you to shut up," Colin said when I'd finished. "I merely said your name." "Yo!" Devine's voice came from under the table. He reappeared then, fork in hand, and looked at me. "How'd you get a name like that anyway? I mean, shit, just in time?" "Well, Devine," I said, "that's really a question for Mr. Nyman to answer." Devine turned to Colin. "So?" Colin was silent for a moment, and then he shrugged and said, "It was just a bad joke. A bad joke that refused to go away." "I'll say," Devine said and turned back to me. "So what's your real—" "Here," I said. "Let me get you some more vino." I leaned across the table to fill his glass, and this time I did spill some wine, and Devine jumped back from the table to keep it from staining his pants. As I settled back into my seat, Colin placed his empty glass down beside me, and I filled it more carefully and refused to meet his eyes.